CIST 2611, Chapter 6, we're going to look at firewall implementation. So in this chapter, our learning objectives are to understand the fundamental functions of firewalls. We're going to look at common firewall technologies. Also look at the elements involved in firewall implementation and configurations. And also we're going to look at the step-by-step process for firewall implementations. Some of the key concepts covered in this chapter include preserving privacy. So we're going to learn how firewalls contribute to safeguarding privacy in network communications. We'll look at construction, configuration, and management of a firewall. So we're going to look at the process of building, configuring, and effectively managing that firewall. We'll also look at the installation and configuration of CIST firewall. So we'll look at the specific steps that are involved in installing and configuring the CIST firewall. And we'll also look at testing and troubleshooting firewalls. So we'll be looking at some functionality and troubleshooting some common issues in firewalls. So when we talk about network security, we're aiming to safeguard a multitude of components within our network. This includes everything from individual computers to hard disks to databases. So the linchpin in the security framework often involves the use of firewalls. Now, transaction security, so that's moving beyond the general network security. We also need to focus on the security of transactions. This is particularly relevant for interactions among web servers and databases. So with the adoption of HTTPS, it becomes crucial here as it encrypts transactions over the internet. That provides a secure communication channel. Once again, firewalls, they step in to ensure the protection of sensitive transactional data. So when we look at some overlapping types of network security and transaction security risk, we're going to look at unauthorized individuals gaining access to the server's document tree. That is a serious concern. So this can lead to unauthorized access to sensitive files and information. Now, one of the risks we must guard against is the interception of the transaction data. So without the proper security measures, important information exchanged during transactions can be compromised. Network security also extends to safeguarding information about the server itself. So unauthorized access to server details could potentially expose vulnerabilities. Now, another formidable risk involves the denial of service attacks. So these attacks can disrupt normal server operations. That makes the service inaccessible for legitimate users. Now, when considering what to protect, it is important to recognize that servers often house extensive data, making them attractive targets for attackers that are seeking that valuable information. Our database servers, for example, they may contain personally identifiable information, including sensitive details like payment card data. So it is very important, very crucial to safeguard this information. And finally, the domain name systems, DNS servers, they host the IP addresses and names of network systems. So you want to make sure that these are protected because that ensures the integrity of your network operations. Now, it's equally important to prioritize the protection of clients and users. You want private messages should be treated as confidential. So you want to emphasize the need for robust security measures. You want to maintain the integrity of information because that is a key goal. This involves preventing unauthorized alteration or tampering with the data because you want to ensure the accuracy and reliability of that information. And you want to utilize strong authentication methods and incorporating non-reproduction measures in all transactions. This is a fundamental step in securing the client's interactions and transactions. The Electronic Privacy Information Center, it's an organization that's dedicated to addressing emerging privacy issues related to the national information infrastructure. So Epic actively engages with critical privacy issues. This includes digital telephony proposal, medical record privacies, and concerns surrounding the sale of consumer data. Now, their mission is to preserve the rights of privacy in the electronic age, empower individuals with greater control over their personal information, and to encourage the development of new technologies that protect privacy rights. So Epic serves as a watchdog and advocate, contributing to the ongoing discourse on privacy rights in the ever-changing landscape of electronic communications and information sharing. The California Consumer Privacy Act, this is a piece of legislation designed to safeguard consumer privacy rights. So it requires companies to protect the consumer information that they do hold. They implement and maintain reasonable security procedures and practices, and secure that sensitive information in a database behind a firewall and restrict access to the database. It also establishes minimal damage for class action suits as a response to data breaches. The companies are held accountable for breaches that compromise consumer data. So the proper firewall implementation procedures, first you want to clearly define the requirements of the firewall. So you clearly outline the capabilities and features that are required to achieve the task and security goals. You also want to specify the network design that the firewall will complement. So that firewall should be strategically positioned at choke points or transition points. You want to ensure the alignment with the broader network design, and this is to optimize your security. You also want to write the plan down. You want to document every action requirement. So you create that comprehensive plan, documenting every action that's required, starting with the arrival of the firewall. So you want to include the steps that lead to the important point of enabling filtering for production traffic. Now that documentation is going to serve as a reference for the implementation teams. That's used to reduce the likelihood of errors. Then a well-documented plan also is there to aid in troubleshooting, maintenance, and any future upgrades. You also, when you're getting ready to install a firewall, going through the implementation procedures, you want to communicate that firewall plan with the relevant stakeholders, different IT teams. You want that collaboration to be fostered within the organization. Also, keep in mind that you would never, you will always have to review this plan, the documentation. So you want to regularly review and update the documentation. Make sure that it aligns with the changing security needs and network changes. You'll also want to incorporate photos in your documentation. So you enhance your documentation with those visuals. This includes configuration screens, physical setup, cable attachments, and labeling. And this provides clarity, and it also serves as a reference for troubleshooting and maintenance. Also, before you deploy the firewall, you want to write down every aspect of that firewall used before you deploy it. This allows you to anticipate potential issues because you can detail configurations, setups, and connections in advance. You also want a step-by-step deployment documentations. So from start to finish, this allows you to create a troubleshooting blueprint for recording actions from start to finish. It's important to have your documentation correctly. This is something that's going to be essential for troubleshooting, quick resolution of any issues. It serves as a valuable resource for any new team members or those that are involved in the maintenance. for your firewall. Now we have a couple different firewall configuration strategies. You have a simple firewall that's a straightforward firewall setup, and that's something that's going to be suitable for basic security needs. This is ideal for a small network or home environments. That's something that's got limited complexity in the network. And this involves a single firewall device with a standard rule set. Now, a multi-home firewall, this is a firewall solution with multiple network interfaces, and that enhances the security and control. This is something that's going to be suited for organizations that require stricter access, control, and segmentation. And this involves a firewall with multiple interfaces, and each is going to be connected to a different network segments. Now, the two firewalls that are used to create a demilitarized zone. So when you create a DMZ, this involves deploying two firewalls to enhance security for publicly accessible services. So this is something that's commonly going to be employed in scenarios where isolated zones for external facing services are important. It involves a combination of internal and external firewalls with the DMZ acting as a intermediary zone. Now to choose the correct network setup, the correct firewall setup, you want to select the configuration that aligns with the organization's network complexity and security requirements. So when you evaluate the resource, maybe some resource constraints or the resources available, you want to assess those available resources, look at the budget, and also the scalability needs of the organizations. And you want to ensure that your chosen alignment, your chosen configuration, that it aligns with the organization's overall security policy. This is something also you need to regularly review and update the firewall configurations based on ever-changing security needs. Now, the small office / home office VPN hardware firewalls, this is something that is set up, it's suitable for a setup that has fewer than 25 computers or devices on the network. And it facilitates a secure VPN connections to the company network for email, sensitive file transfers. Now, some key features in here is the secure VPN connection. This enables secure connectivity for remote users to access the company network. Some additional features include the antivirus protection, IP filtering, web content filtering. You have router options such as the router firewall combinations, intrusion detection, and also DOS or DDoS attack detection. Now, this is the best solution if you already have a working network and need to provide remote access to it. So another benefits of having the small office, home office VPN hardware is that it does have a simple setup. Configuration, like I said, is suitable for small environments. Provides a cost-efficient solution for your firewall with essential security features. And also the scalability of this. So you have the scalability options that you need to take into consideration if your network grows beyond the small office, home office. Now, pfSense is a host software firewall. This is something that has widespread use. It's well known, widely installed across various types of environments, and it does offer support for different types of networks. Now, this is something that's going to be considered a practical solution, and it's going to be, like I said, suitable for a broad spectrum of organizations. The pfSense does have the ability to be adaptable, so it demonstrates flexibility in managing and meeting diverse security network requirements. Some key features include that it has the web proxy capabilities, snort intrusion detection system support, You have remote access and VPN support, allows blocking and allowing traffic based on geographical locations using GeoIP blocking. It incorporates the IDS, IPS features for proactive threat identification and prevention. Supports load balancing, and this is done to ensure efficient distribution of network traffic. Bandwidth management, so it enables traffic shaping for the bandwidth management. It offers transparent caching proxy for improved web content delivery. pfSense also incorporates web content filtering, and that's allowed to control and manage internet content. You can allow it allows the assignment of multiple IP addresses per interface. This allows you to increase your flexibility, and it's built on a stable, well-supported platform of FreeBSD. So it offers these wide range of security features. Um, it benefits from a supporter community and also has regular updates. Now, when you're planning a firewall implementation with pfSense, one thing you need to think is the benefit of pfSense is the flexibility. So while the standard hardware offers flexibility, um, it allows adjustments based on specific organizational needs. So an example that would be we easily upgrades the components to scale or scale resources to meet the changing requirements for your network or your organization's needs. You also have performance and value for the money. So it provides a cost-effective solution without compromising performance. So pfSense will work within budget constraints. Also the support. So the hardware enjoys broad support that ensures the compatibility across a wider range of resources. And you can find some support within community forums, documentation, third-party expertise. There's a wide range of support for pfSense. So how does pfSense work for the size of your organization? So when you look at small organizations, these are organizations where the users access the internet daily. They may have no web server or VPN server. So in this case, a proxy server or firewall such as pfSense would be sufficient. Medium and large organizations where the users access the internet daily, they may have a web server with high volume access from customers, a VPN server for mobile remote users. So when you the solution for this would need a DMZ with a 2 application level firewall and a packet filtering for enhanced security. Now with a subnet architecture, this is a network with multiple subnets, so you need to limit the specific types of traffic within those subnets. So the solution for the firewall for this would be configure a router for basic packet filtering. When you install a local firewall uh, or install pfSense, you can install this on a local firewall. You can put it on a large scale security device, or you can store it in the cloud, install it in the cloud. First step is you want to download pfSense. So you go to https://www.pfsense.org/download. You want to choose the appropriate version, the architecture, and installer type. Then you choose the installer options. You want to select the installer options for the iOS image, whether it's optical disk, USB, or memstick. Verify the hash value. That ensures the integrity of the download file by comparing the hashes. Then you want to save the downloaded file to media. whether it was the disk, the USB, so forth. Accept the copyright notice when prompted. Then you select the install. So you start the installation. And then finally, the file system selection. You want to choose the desired file system for pfSense installation. Step 9, you will select the key map selection. So you choose that appropriate key map selection based on your keyboard layout. And during installation, you will opt for manual configuration options or choose no when prompted. Step 11, you'll remove the original disk or download disk. So you remove the disk with the original download of pfSense. After you've installed it, you will reboot, access the system console to assign the interfaces, and then assign the VLAN if it is part of your network configuration. When you're configuring a firewall pfSense, by default, pfSense is going to block all incoming WAN connections. This is done to enhance your security. It allows all outgoing LAN connections, ensuring the seamless communications from internal device. You want to configure, it configures the WAN interface with both IP4 and IP version 6 DHCP clients for automatic address assignment. Now, pfSense will also function as a DHCP server. By default, this is on the IP4 and IP version 6. So elements of firewall deployment, we'll look at some key components of this. One is a captive portal. That's a web page that requires user interaction before granting access to a network or the internet. So this often involves authentication or acceptance of terms. The DHCP server, this provides a dynamic IP address allocation to devices on the network. This simplifies network configurations for users and administrators. The DNS server resolves domain names to IP addresses. It facilitates communications between those devices using human-readable domain names. A NTP server synchronizes system clocks across devices in the network. This ensures accurate timekeeping for various operations. The SNMP daemons, this enables network monitoring, allows administrators to collect information about devices, their performance, and the status. The IGMP proxy daemon that manages the Internet Group Management Protocol. This is done for efficient multicasting, enable devices to join or leave multicast groups. The IDS/IPS deployment implementation. This enhances security by detecting and preventing malicious activities on the network. And finally, virtualization. These technologies create virtual instances of firewalls, and that's done to optimize resource utilization and provide flexibility in the deployment. Now, when you test and troubleshoot a firewall, when you're going through testing, you want to create a comprehensive testing plan before installing the firewall. This covers various scenarios and network activities. You want to document the results of the test and label the test data. This is done to create a reference for future troubleshooting or any adjustments. You want to utilize test data that's going to closely simulate live network traffic because you want to ensure realistic scenarios to evaluate. You also want to verify the connectivity to identify and address any potential issues before that firewall becomes operational. You want testing aids in identifying and addressing packet or traffic loss issues. This enhances overall network performances. And then finally, implement a mix of typical and atypical network traffic during the testing to assess the firewall's adaptability to diverse scenarios. Also, when testing, you want to identify and resolve any hardware problems, such as kernel panics or hard drive failures, which could lead to firewall reboots. So if you have the message like file system is full or no inodes free appear, you want to investigate any potential hard drive failures. That would be your primary concerns. So you want to rule out the hardware issues first. You want to check any offloading options. That you do that to ensure that the optimal performance, and then once again rule out issues related to hardware. You want to log each change made during troubleshooting. This includes the order, the results of the testing, and whether the change mitigated or increased the issues. Use the df-hi command from the shell. That's used to identify the cause and address any disk space related problems contributing to the issues. Then once again, you want to thoroughly review the logs to gain insights into any anomalies, errors, or patterns that may indicate the root cause of the problem. So in this chapter, we have talked about how firewalls can be used to preserve privacy, constructing and configuring and managing a firewall. We went through the steps of installing and configuring a pfSense firewall, and also the steps you'll go through for testing and troubleshooting a firewall.